Hello, I'm Laura Painter. You're watching an ABC 10 Plus recap of Monday's top stories. For the first time, we're hearing from Carlos Dominguez, the man accused of killing 2 people and hurting another, taking the stand in his own defense. Then we talk with the mother of a motorcyclist killed in a freeway crash, the change she's calling for. The ABC 10 Plus recap starts right now.
Tonight, a Sacramento mother is calling for change after her son was killed in a motorcycle crash. ABC 10's Luke Clary has more on what she'd like to see from Caltrans.
It happened here on a Saturday evening, May 3rd. 39-year-old Kelly Boyer was killed in a motorcycle accident, leaving behind his family, including a young son.
He's just an all-around good guy, you know. Good father, good husband, good son.
Now Boyer's mother, Rhonda Butler, wants road officials to rethink safety in that area.
That's dangerous. And I mean, it's known to be dangerous, but the least they can do is make it safer.
She says Boyer went over the guardrail and fell to the ground below. The deadly crash is still under investigation, and it came just weeks after another motorcyclist died in a similar way.
You getting pitched over the side of the freeway and you fall, what, 20 some odd feet or however far it is, I don't know. I don't even know. But it's a long drop. You're not going to live through that.
Butler wants Caltrans to install fencing above the guardrails, like what's used in other parts of Highway 50. We asked Caltrans if that's under consideration. The agency says it's reviewing our question.
But I really don't want this to happen to anybody else. Nobody else should lose their life right there.
Meanwhile, help is coming for Boyer's family. Coin Op in downtown Sacramento, where Butler works, is hosting a fundraiser.
It chokes me up just thinking about it, so really good group of guys.
She hopes the night raises more than just money. She hopes it raises awareness. In Sacramento, Luke Clary, ABC 10.
My goodness, our thoughts are certainly with the family. The fundraiser at Coin Op is running until 10 p.m. tonight. They also have food and drink specials to try and help the family.
Now to developing news in the deadly Davis stabbing trial that we've been following for weeks.
Yeah, tonight for the first time we're hearing directly from Carlos Dominguez in his own murder trial. The former UC Davis student is accused of killing 2 men and injuring a woman in a series of stabbings back in 2023.
We do want to warn you, some of the details in this story may be disturbing. ABC 10's Roxan Elias has the latest tonight.
Mr. Alice Dominguez, do you have a mental illness?
Yes.
Within minutes of taking the stand in his trial Monday, Carlos Dominguez admitted to having schizophrenia. The defense started by questioning Dominguez about his childhood living in El Salvador with his grandmother. Dominguez says he used to call her mom and dad and that he did not know where his parents were at the time. In a statement, he also recalled inappropriate behavior when being cared for by a maid when his grandmother was at work.
I remember she told me she had something to show me, and she took me into one of the rooms of the house, and she started getting undressed, and then she got me undressed.
The defense then went on to ask him about leaving El Salvador, having to cross the border as a child, and being detained by ICE before reaching his parents in Oakland.
I remember crossing like a park, like it was a field with trees, and then crossing like a desert area, and I remember there was this hole that we had to jump over to get by one of the areas.
Once reaching his family, he recalled his parents being in an abusive relationship and fighting while drunk on the weekends. In the second part of his testimony, his defense attorney asked him about the times he first started to notice the signs of schizophrenia during his freshman year of college.
Once I was in Kaylee's dorm, and I had a dream where I don't remember if I woke up or if I just woke up in the dream, and I seen like a devil, like a shadow figure at the corner of the room, sitting down on a table with paper.
Dominguez described several instances of seeing figures and later whispering voices. Throughout the trial, the defense is trying to prove he was going through a psychotic break, but the prosecution will have their chance to argue he committed the stabbings as premeditated attacks.
That was our Roxan Elias reporting. Remember, you can watch this trial unfold live on the ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. There you can also find more background information on the investigation and previous testimony. The app is free to download on your TV.
Tonight, California lawmakers are on a deadline. Pass their bills out of their original House by the end of the week, or they're killed. The looming deadline has put the pressure on them as affordability becomes a #1 top priority to address. ABC10's Jeannie Nguyen joins us in studio tonight with some of the key issues lawmakers are focused on and which bills are actually making it through.
Alex, lawmakers are rushing to get their bills passed through the Assembly and the Senate by this Friday. It comes as more criticism is being pushed on lawmakers to make the state a more affordable place to live. On Monday, lawmakers in the California State Assembly rushed to get their bills passed with a focus on lowering the cost of living. Bills passed during the floor session tackled issues like homeowners insurance. AB1 authored by Democrat Assemblymember Damon Connolly.
This bill will make the program better for consumers and incentivize communities and neighborhoods to prepare their homes in case of disaster.
Receiving bipartisan support, Republicans criticized the bill for taking effect in 2030, saying it's too long for homeowners to wait.
I'm hearing from homeowners who are telling me that their insurance rates are spiking so much that they are afraid that they will be forced out of their homes.
Republican Assemblymember Carl DeMille also adds the goal both parties had at the beginning of the year is not currently being fulfilled.
Our caucus is trying to get this chamber to fulfill the Speaker's promise from months ago that we were going to deal with the cost of living crisis in Sacramento.
Another bill that passed and addresses rising costs, AB61, introduced by Democrat Assemblymember Blanca Pacheco.
This bill requires the Public Advocate's Office at the Public Utilities Commission to analyze the efficacy, cost impact, and overall effect of each proposed legislative mandate on electric and natural gas companies prior to a vote in policy committees.
One of the bills expected to be heard this week is AB 942 regarding a change in a program for homeowners with rooftop solar panels. Opponents say this bill would do the opposite of saving Californians money and addressing affordability.
Rates are high because of out-of-control utility spending on poles and wires and the failure of this building, of the regulators, and of the governor to check that utility spending.
Introduced by Democrat Assemblymember Lisa Calderon, the bill would require new owners of rooftop solar to agree to a new program called the Net Billing Tariff and to get rid of the California Climate Credit through the Cap and Trade program. Ultimately, those advocating for solar say this bill defeats the purpose of choosing solar in the first place. Now, AB 942 was not heard on the Assembly floor today, but will possibly be heard on Wednesday or Thursday of this week. Again, this bill has to pass the Assembly this week, and bills in the Senate have to pass the Senate this week in order for them to continue through the process. Alex.
Deputies in San Joaquin County are investigating after a cherry theft on Sunday.
Yeah, it's quite a story. As ABC 10's Gabriel Porras finds out, investigators say they may have uncovered statewide criminal connections.
On a California cherry orchard, the only constant is concern.
We talk about water availability, labor availability.
And now Andrew Janaski has to talk with his San Joaquin County Farm Bureau members about crime.
This was an organized theft. In my mind, no different than any other organized theft we've seen up and down the state.
The case cracked Sunday by San Joaquin County Sheriff's deputies.
It's very impactful to our economy.
Near Fairchild Road and Waterloo Road on the property of Murata Produce.
We got a call of some suspicious people picking cherries, and our guys responded and caught 3 people, took them into custody. They had already picked 20 boxes of cherries,
totaling at least $2,000 in losses. The investigation just beginning.
Inside their vehicle, we found ledgers of what they were doing. They were in multiple counties up and down the state.
They've been turning around and marketing that product, so this wasn't something they took home for themselves. It's not as simple as picking a few cherries and moving on. This was destruction of private property for personal profit.
Investigators valued the damage in just Sunday's theft at $2,000, but the true impact could be much greater.
Removing limbs opens them up to viruses, damages their potential to produce for future years.
Also, when they have their vehicles in the fields, they're damaging the sprinklers, they're damaging roots.
At a time where it matters the most, weeks ago, San Joaquin County requested a disaster declaration for this year's cherry crop.
We literally feed the world here out of San Joaquin County. So every time somebody is out stealing this, it's damaging these families.
And growing a new kind of concern.
People are doing the best they can to produce a healthy, safe product. Unfortunately, this is another issue we deal with.
In San Joaquin County, Gabriel Porras, ABC 10.
Yeah, what a story, Gabriel. Thank you. Deputies said just this morning they arrested another person in a separate case accused of stealing $500 in cherries elsewhere in the county. Federal hate crime charges were filed against a man accused of carrying out an attack against a group of Jewish community members.
Yeah, it happened in Boulder, Colorado on Sunday. Alex Stone has new information about that suspect.
Making his first appearance in a Boulder County courtroom, 45-year-old Mohammed Solomon is now charged, including with federal hate crime counts.
Mr. Solomon stated that he had been planning this attack for a year. And he acted because he hated what he called the Zionist group.
At the scene of the attack today, city crews using pressure washers to clean off burn marks left behind by the makeshift flamethrower and Molotov cocktail-type devices Solomon is accused of using to attack his victims.
And when he was interviewed about the attack, he said he wanted them all to die. He had no regrets, and he would go back and do it again.
Authorities say there were at least 12 victims. 2 remain hospitalized, critically injured, but they are expected to survive. The Department of Homeland Security says Solomon is in the country illegally after overstaying a work permit. In a social media post responding to the attack, President Trump writing, "It will not be tolerated." Witnesses retelling what it was like as Solomon allegedly attacked the group during a pro-Israel march.
I saw fire, I saw people falling and screaming and crying and tripping.
The attack in Boulder coming only 2 weeks after 2 Israeli embassy staff members were shot and killed in Washington, and weeks after the firebombing attack on the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania. Court records say Solomon told police he had learned how to make Molotov cocktails by researching them on YouTube and that he had specifically targeted the group. Alex Stone, ABC News, Boulder, Colorado.
The Sacramento Jewish Federation released a statement in response to the attack, saying in part, quote, "An attack on any community's right to gather safely is an attack on all our freedoms. We stand united against this anti-Semitic violence and with all communities who face hatred for simply existing and gathering."
And keep in mind, we do have the latest on the investigation, and we also stream the news conference on the free ABC10 Plus TV streaming app. Download and watch today. Tonight, Republicans are pushing back on President Trump's, quote, big, beautiful bill. Some senators say they will not support it.
Yeah, there's major concern for some Republican senators as the bill could add trillions of dollars to the national deficit and millions of Americans could lose their Medicaid coverage. Perry Russum has the latest tonight.
Pressure building on Senate Republicans to pass President Trump's one big beautiful bill as a handful of senators signal they are not supporting it, including Senator Ron Johnson.
I just can't support something that actually increases the deficit, and that is what's going to happen right now as the bill's currently written.
As the bill is currently constructed, it promises to slash federal spending by $1.5 trillion. At the same time, by some estimates, it adds $3.8 trillion to the national deficit over the next 10 years, with cuts to Medicaid and food assistance. Republican Senator Rand Paul on CBS.
Well, the math doesn't really add up. One of the things this big and beautiful bill is it's a vehicle for increasing spending for the military and for the border. It's about $320 billion in new spending. To put that in perspective, that's more than all the DOGE cuts that we found so far.
The bill extends Trump's 2017 tax cuts, allocates $50 billion to resume construction of the border wall, and speeds up Medicaid work requirements. According to the Nonpartisan Budget Office, more than 8 million Americans are projected to lose Medicaid coverage.
The governmental public health system is the core system that keeps communities safe and healthy. And if any part of that starts to shift, we could see direct and immediate impacts to the health of people on the ground.
The bill has passed the House. Next, Senate Republicans have the ability to change the bill, vote on it or approve it, and then it'll go back to the House where there could be even more debate.
Well, take a look at this. Mount Etna in Sicily erupted today, putting on a pretty big show. The volcano sent a cloud of smoke and ash miles into the air, but officials say the activity right now poses no danger to people. Officials say the spectacle on Europe's most active volcano was caused when part of the southeast crater collapsed, resulting in hot lava flows. This is now the 14th eruptive phase in just recent months.
That is really some stunning video there. So let's bring in Monica now. You were just in Sicily, and you have even more amazing video. Tell us about that.
Well, I was with a group of friends. We were actually doing a swim, and one of the friends is a geologist. He was very excited about taking a helicopter tour around Mount Etna the morning he was going to take it. He heard some rumbling at about 1 o'clock in the morning. He looked out. Oh, goodness, it's erupting. Little did he know it was going to become the largest eruption since 2014. The last helicopter ride out that day was this one that you're seeing right now as the lava is flowing, because what you saw in the video just prior to what you're seeing right now is just so much plume, so much smoke. It would have been very dangerous. So this was the last ride that they were able to take out. You could see the red glow there. He said chunks of debris was flowing out as big as houses, even semi-trucks just flowing down the side.
And that from a local man right here in Sacramento.
Right here in Sacramento.
Wow,
Yes.
what are the odds? Very cool. And speaking of hot temperatures, you're tracking them too?
I absolutely am. You know, we felt the heat certainly over the weekend. Temperatures deep into the 100s. That's going to be the hottest temperatures that we've had this year. So on Friday and Saturday, 102. That is how we wrapped up our May. After seeing periodically some bumps in temperatures, overall we ended up with 18 days above average. And then the end of the weekend was quite favorable, dropping those temperatures. So we've hit our first 95-degree day, our first 100-degree day. What's on tap next? We await the potential of a 105-degree day. The average is July 7th, so we've got a little ways to go there, but we've certainly been having a touch of summer heat here recently. Highs for today in the lower 90s up and down the valley, significantly cooler along the coast, but again, we are tracking that fire near Fairfield where wind gusts are over 30 miles per hour right now. Just the initiation of that onshore flow that we typically see at this point in the evening. So as we head out to the A's forecast, taking on the Twins for the next couple of days, you can see we've got that light breeze continuing at Sutter Health Park. Our temperatures at 79 degrees for that first pitch at 7:05, and then we'll cool things into the 60s by the time we're wrapping things up. So it's that time of year. You start off the game. If you're in the sun, it's just brutal. And then you're leaving the game kind of going, oh, there's a little bit of chill in the air. Tomorrow, we'll see that same scenario play out. A little bit lighter in the way of our breeze, but it's enough to keep us below that 100-degree threshold. We start the day off in the 50s. We warm to the 60s by the mid-morning hours, and then we're sitting largely in the 80s to right around 90 degrees throughout the afternoon. Nothing too extreme, pretty much on par for where we should be this time of year. Our sunset close to 8:30 at this point in the year. As far as our future cast, we've got periods of these lows moving through just off the coast that will feed us with that onshore flow. Then we start tracking this ridge of high pressure. It's sinking, warming air, and we start to expand the moderate heat risk throughout the valley. We get a brief break in the heat Wednesday into Thursday, but then it comes back into our Friday, Saturday, and even our Sunday forecast as that, again, moderate heat risk starts to expand throughout the valley. So some warmer temperatures heading our way for the end of the work week, into the weekend, and early next week. Highs for tomorrow in the 70s for this year. We'll still track the opportunity for some isolated thunderstorms. Down the hill, we're in the 80s to right around 90 degrees. Across the coast, again, it's quite cool. 60s for San Francisco. Head inland just a tinge, and you start to get into some of the warmth. At Fairfield in the 70s, Vacaville 80s, as well as Rio Vista, Antioch, Tracy, we're up to 90 degrees. Central Valley forecast, we start the day off in the 50s, but those highs warming into the upper 80s to right around 90. Nothing too extreme. This is pretty typical for this time of year. Some of those outlying areas, though, Yuba City, Colusa, mid to upper 90s tomorrow afternoon. Isolated thunderstorms possibly in the Sierra, mostly south of I-80 and largely around the central Sierra. So we'll watch that at least for the Tahoe Basin. For the hills, we're looking at sunny skies and highs in the 80s to near 90. You can see how we start to warm things up there by the end of the work week and into the weekend. And that will also play out for our valley forecast, where we see that little drop in temperatures on Thursday, and then we're right back at it for the upcoming weekend.
A lot of sunshine on that board, huh, Monica?
Yeah, it's that time of year. Not a lot of clouds or rain, right?
Oh, yeah, so true. June off to a warm and sunny start. Thank you.
Welcome back in. I'm Kevin John. Well, not many people can boast about being one of the best freshmen in the country. Not many people can boast about winning 3 NorCal titles, not to mention establishing 2 school records along the way. But then again, not many people are like Jake Totten.
But I feel like I'm coming in as an underdog, you know, just a JUCO guy, coming out of high school.
He may feel like an underdog, but his resume says otherwise. Jake is just wrapping up his freshman year at Delta College in Stockton, and he's the only person on the track and field team who qualified for the Nike Under 20 USA Track and Field Championships which takes place in Eugene, Oregon.
I'm really excited for the opportunity. You put all the hard work in and then you come out and just compete.
Jake recently dominated at the NorCal Championships, coming in first in the shot put, discus, and hammer throw. And lucky for Jake, he's trained by one of the best in the business, Coach Tim Fua.
It's pretty exciting. When Jake came in this last year, we've been training all year, and this was one of the goals to move on past maybe qualifying for the under-20s at the USA, so this is a big deal.
Jake is originally from Jackson, where he attended Argonaut High School, and now he's looking forward to representing Stockton on the big stage.
Coming from a small town county to a city like Stockton, a lot more pressure, but I think I could do it.
So what is Jake's secret to throwing the farthest?
Bang energy. I'm telling you, it's bang energy. I took one sip of it and then threw a huge PR.
Now off the field, Jake holds a 3.6 GPA and is currently being recruited by several major programs, including Cal and UCLA. He takes off for the championships in a couple of weeks.
6:41 Monday morning, Pride Month officially underway. One of the biggest celebrations kicked off over the weekend, Southern California.
Yeah, we are talking about West Hollywood Pride, and you can see it right there behind us. Thousands of people lining Santa Monica Boulevard for this weekend of the festival, which remains one of the biggest LGBTQ+ celebrations in the country. The three-day event featured music, parades, and stars like Lizzo, Paris Hilton, and festivities started up on Friday, wrapping up yesterday with a parade.
And the Bent Film Festival is Sacramento's, or was at one time, the longest-running cinema attraction dedicated to positive and safe space LGBTQ expression during Pride Month.
So, though the festival itself is no longer, Bent's mission to support filmmakers lives on through annual grants for local productions. And submissions are now open, and Marcus Allen is with a previous winner and has details on how to qualify. Hey, Mark.
Hey, everybody settle, quiet background, roll cameras, action. Again, the sequence all wrong, but we're pretending to make a movie right now. What we are not pretending to do is celebrate film, especially leaning into LGBTQ. That's why Kelly Siefkin, our friend, is here. Thanks for hanging out.
Mark.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, Sacramento Region Community Foundation. We're here celebrating Pride Month and announcing that we have a grant available. Our Bent Film Festival grant is carrying on. The festival is no longer in existence, but they've turned that memory into funding, and we're providing that for filmmakers here in the community.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the longest running film festivals is no more, but the money from it still flows to filmmakers like Cecilia. Introduce yourself.
Hi, yeah, I'm Cecilia Romo. I was one of the recipients for the 2023 Bent Grant, and I was able to make my film Mi Puerto Bonita.
Exactly, and I said, not to be confused with Mi Puerto Bonito, which is Bad Bunny's song, and you said that inspired this?
It did inspire, yeah, the vibrancy, the Latino culture, that's what inspired Mi Puerto Bonita, and it is in film festivals right now. We have also a screening at the local LGBT Lavender Library this week.
Awesome, and I love your quick description, the elevator pitch. The movie is about what?
It's about two best friends. A girl just been dumped by her girlfriend. Her best friend takes her out for a crazy joyride through Sacramento, and it's about heartbreak, friendship, and revenge.
Like all of those things in that exact order. All right, new to the scene here, Daniel, step up and introduce yourself.
I'm Daniel Sellers-Norman. I'm also a recipient of the grant. And so I'm still in pre-production, but we're doing Alabama Women, or the original title is Alabama Bound, done by Charlotte Higgins. Charlotte Higgins is the playwright for it. And this was the play version. Actually, my hubby was the graphic designer for this. And the photo here is by a great photographer. And what I love about this photo for it is one of the stories is based around a woman telling her story from prison, and I love this lady because she's so beautiful, but then you look at her hands and how rough they are.
Yeah, she's had quite a time, as it turns out. I love all that you're celebrating. Also, as a filmmaker myself, I can tell you raised the budget to make your movie, and then you're going to need about double that to finally get it out. Deliverables, post-production, so this grant helps.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, so much.
All right. So how do other people get this grant? It's not too late.
It's not. The application is open through the end of the month. Visit us at sacregcf.org. This grant is just one of many that Sacramento Region Community Foundation has available.
There you go. And we'll link that to abc10.com. In advance, give yourselves a big round of applause. Hard to do when you're holding stuff, but all right. Tail Slate, back to you.
Mark, don't you think, and I love the premise of Alabama Women, don't you think a lot of people go to the local film festivals to see a Sacramento or Stockton or Modesto made film so they can go, oh, I've been there and I see that, just the identifiability of it?
Yeah, I'll say that to you. Like, a lot of Sacramento films are celebrated in Sacramento. They go to local film festivals to see our city celebrated. Is that one of the reasons you chose Sacramento as your backdrop?
I chose it because I was born and raised here, and it's 3 generations deep. My family immigrated from Mexico here, and I wanted to tell the stories from my neighborhood and from the city.
That is super awesome. Just quickly, are you from here, Daniel? Where hell you?
I'm from Placerville, up the hill, but yeah, Sacramento area.
Yeah, Sac adjacent, up the hills. Back to you.
Okay, good stuff. A lot of regional people making good movies and films. All right, thank you, Mark.
Thanks so much for watching this ABC 10 Plus recap. We're here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. You can get your local news and weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Laura Painter. Take care. I'll see you next time.
We're in day 1 of a weather impact alert.
Tracking a couple big weather impacts, including a red flag warning and big heat developing.
Heavy rain continues. I hear it on the roof right now.
We're already seeing the impact of the storm.
We're planning for those changes.
Triple-digit heat leading to cancellations and concerns. Stay fire ready.
On Weather Impact Alert Days, stream extended coverage on ABC10 Plus.
Our free ABC10 Plus TV streaming app has so much to offer. Get your news live and on demand 24/7, so you can watch the news when you want. There's breaking news, extended forecast, and so much more. We have everything you need to get through your day and ready for the weekend. We've got you covered on money-saving tips, travel, entertainment, and sports. Download the free ABC10 Plus app on your smart TV and popular streaming devices like Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and more. ABC 10. We stand for you 24/7.